Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee,
And I'm Deirdre Looney. Sorry.
and we are McLooney Live. So yeah, I pressed the button right when you started coughing. I didn't mean to stick you out like that. So
Went down the wrong way.
so I got hopefully I got one of my co-hosts from Two Finger Tuesday. He may jump on. I sent it to him,
Oh,
and
cool.
hopefully he jumps on a little bit. You'll love him. He hadn't been able to. He retired like me, but he went back to work. He's a train conductor, and he went back to work, and now he's working a lot. So I told him I like the old Tommy. I liked Tommy that didn't have a lot of responsibilities. So we're going to talk about tonight, and I know this is personal to you, and I know that's emotional to you because you have some friends that are affected, and this is. Uh, Now you're from North Carolina. I know you lived there for a long time. Is that where you originate? Where you're really from, or
No, I'm originally from right outside Philadelphia.
but you spent a lot of
But
time there. Your mom's there, so
my mom's in South Carolina. My older
I got
sister's in North Carolina. So
okay.
I randomly up and moved to North Carolina in 2018, 17 or 18. I kind of forget. But yeah, so um I was there for 5 years, I believe. And I
Gotcha.
moved in 2022.
So you have some friends there. So this is how I want to. I'd like to do this. You've been following this. You've been in touch with some people. You have some friends that were really affected. One of them that was trapped for a couple days, and you helped her, and we still need to try to help her and others as much as we can. My background, this is something, emergency response on hurricanes is something that I can speak very educated on. I was incident commander for major hurricanes, Hurricane Laura in 2020, Hurricane Rita
I
in
remember
2000,
that one.
in 2005. You probably don't remember that one, but
I remember it.
so that was right after Katrina. So Katrina was on the New Orleans area, and as you know, I'm on Southwest Louisiana. So I can speak on that, but I want to. Yeah, we're going to do twofold. We have to cover. I definitely want to cover the stories that you know and how we can help people, but we have to cover this total dereliction of a response. So why don't you fill us in on what you know and what are the needs that you know of?
If I get emotional, I will
That's
apologize.
okay. No, and I think
Most
that
of the time, because
I
this
think that's
stuff is
perfectly okay, and I think that's yeah. I think it's good. I mean, we're real people, you know.
so my old roommate, my friend, she I had actually just found out she lived in Asheville. I didn't even know she moved out there. And so right when I found out that this had happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, Amber's there. Oh, let me not use I don't want to use her name. Um and so me and my old neighbor were trying to figure out where she was. My FBI skills are far better than the actual FBI. Let me just tell you that. And I'm very proud of myself. So he was sending me anything he possibly could to, you know, try to figure out where she was. So he sent a picture that she had sent him of our other roommate at her new apartment. So I saw the cabinets in the background. So I literally searched every single apartment complex in Asheville until I found her in that picture and found out where she was. So I was trying to get in contact with her. I did finally get in contact with her, and she sent me that she was okay. She said she was trapped in Asheville. Let me try to find. She said we're having blackouts. She had to walk to the public health building to get Wi-Fi. She said it's so bad. She's trapped. She tried to leave multiple times, but she ran out of gas and there was landslides. So I kept sending her information, whether she could respond or not. These people are able to receive text messages. So if you are looking to help, if you know someone out there, just know that they are still seeing your text messages. She was saying things were getting desperate, tensions were rising, there's no gas, no ATMs, no food, no water. There's bodies and animals everywhere, cows specifically, is what she said. And I told her I was going to help her get her out of there. And she's just, was feeling helpless, said there's nothing that can be done. So then she did end up getting rescued by a friend that did find a way out of there, which is I-26 South. You cannot go I-26 North out of Asheville. But if you're coming from South Carolina, you can take I-26 North into Asheville and then I-26 South out of Asheville to South Carolina. So she was just saying that it was something she'd never thought she'd ever have to see. And I think everybody has pretty much only found out how bad this actually is through TikTok. Thank God for TikTok.
That's one thing they haven't been censoring. They haven't been censoring that, and I'm happy that TikTok is doing that, because you know how you and I both feel about censorship.
They are censoring it a little bit. There are certain things that are being censored.
Not like the other stuff we talk about.
Right. Like people saying that they are getting very aggressive with people coming in there trying to help. One specifically was a helicopter. Someone had a personal helicopter.
I saw that one. That was disheartening.
But that's what they do in these disasters. And I don't understand it. And the residents will also tell you they do not understand it because they need everything. So I'll
comment on that. I understand it a little bit, but I'll comment on it when you're done. But I do understand the concept a little bit, but it falls on them. It's not on the people that are volunteering. It falls on the emergency management.
Yeah. So I have independently volunteered with disasters in Kentucky. I was there for a week. I did work with Samaritan's Purse for one day, and then I went to Mississippi as well. And Kentucky was the same thing. They were telling people not to come in there. So when I got there, they're like, "Oh, they let you in?" I'm like, "Yeah." But I also went to the smaller towns first because they're always the ones that are missed.
Absolutely are. They absolutely are.
And I have an entire list of towns that desperately need help. Desperately. There is no help at all. There's no FEMA. There's no nothing. Also, FEMA only has one tiny area, and that is from a resident update as of today. He said there is nobody there. And multiple residents are asking why and where the help is and why they're turning people away. I truly think that there's something more behind this, and I think it's a lot more sinister than anybody even wants to realize, because nothing about this is normal. Nothing. Not any part of it, not the storm, not the response to it. I mean, for this to have been a failure, this is a pretty deadly failure. There are thousands of people still missing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can volunteer boots on the ground, do it and go out to the small towns that aren't getting any help or any supplies at all.
So a couple of the questions I would have, and I would welcome your friend to come on one day when she's ready. I've been through I've been through the devastation of that, and I haven't been my service was different. I was on the response side, but I'd love for her to come on and tell her story one day. But a couple of questions that I have. When were they notified of a mandatory evacuation?
30 minutes. And by that time, landslides were already happening, so they were trapped.
But 30
Some
minutes,
of them didn't even get notified because there was already powers and
yeah.
cellular outages. And this is one thing that is that they said that the dams broke, which they did not. They opened up all the floodgates, all of them, not just one. They opened them all at the same time, which just me thinking that's probably not normal. And then they sent a tsunami down the entire mountain.
So no, that's not normal. So Tommy's with us on. Hey, Tommy, I sent you the link. If you want to jump in. So no, you're right. The current administration is only concerned with their campaign, and that's what they were doing. And we're going to get on them for sure in a minute. So, people are saying they were caught off guard. No, they were not caught off guard. They were caught unprepared, and more importantly than that, unconcerned. They did not.
The administration?
Yes.
Okay.
So, emergency response. They were caught. People say, "Oh, they were just caught off guard." No, they weren't caught off guard. They were caught not prepared and not giving a fuck is what they were caught doing. Mm-hmm. And that's what. Now I'll tell you this. I am. Obviously, everybody that listens to us or follows me on TikTok knows how I feel about this administration. Mm-hmm. But let me give you. There's a misconception about FEMA. FEMA is not a first responding agency.
Thank you.
They don't respond. They don't have people. They are a funding agency. They are a recovery agency. This more than anybody. And I don't know the governor over there, but I will tell you that the failure. All right, so Tommy, let's see. Tommy's coming in.
Let me just tell you that Roy Cooper is
this more than anybody. And I don't know the governor. Right, Tommy, you got to turn that. That's okay. Turn it down now, Tommy, if you were watching. All right. You there, Tommy?
Hey there.
Hi.
All right.
How are you?
Right, let's do a small introduction. Tommy, Tommy.
Pleasure to meet you.
Tommy and I were on the phone a little while ago, D. And, Tommy is one of my co-hosts on Tuesdays. And he didn't know about you, and I had to break it to him that I had another co-host here. And he said, he said, she isn't better looking than me, is she? I said, well, not only that, she's smarter than you too. So I don't think it takes much to do both, be smarter or better looking than any one of us.
That's okay. That's okay. And then what do? I grace our show with with this high vis stuff.
Yeah. So Dee's telling us she's been in contact with some people. She's familiar. She's lived in North Carolina for a little while. And we're talking about Asheville now. So go ahead, Dee.
I was just saying, Roy Cooper. I can't tell you how many protests that I went to in front of that mansion in Raleigh. Roy Cooper is the biggest piece of garbage ever.
So he's a Tim Walz governor. He's a Tim Walz type.
I want to say that he could be worse, but I don't know. They might be a tie. Roy Cooper is horrible. That man did not win North Carolina. It was stolen 100%. But we won't go there today. I despise this man.
Well, he failed bigger than I've ever seen a governor fail in an emergency.
174 National Guard for a town of 500,000 people.
Yeah.
Knowing how many houses are on that mountain and people that are still trapped.
Yeah.
Florida had to send their National Guard. Alabama just sent their National Guard and a 911 team to go up there. What's he doing?
And here's the issue, and Tommy, you can definitely relate to this and love to hear your comments. So we were talking about a little while ago about volunteers. So here's the problem with volunteers. They're only good if you have a coordinated volunteer effort. If people, like you, D, are showing up freestyling, and which is fine, but if they're not prepared for y'all, you're gonna do a fraction of what you could do. So part of the responsibility of the emergency management is recognizing that people like you are showing up. And if they don't get a mission, they're going to go create their own. And then what happens is you have no idea who still needs help, who has been helped, who needs what kind of care. When you have that type of coordinated effort and you have that type of leadership, you have to lead the volunteers too. That's something that we realized after Hurricane Rita. We did okay during Rita, but the hurricanes after that, and especially Laura, we had a lot of failures in Laura. But volunteers and coordinated volunteers was not one of them. We had missions when our volunteers showed up, because we have the Cajun Navy here. They became pretty famous. They actually originated around my hometown.
Yep.
So, but if you don't give them missions and you don't have things for them to do, then they're going to get out there and freestyle, in which still people are going to get help when people like you get out there deep. But the problem is you're only going to do a fraction of what you could do if you had information. You might help one person when you could have helped 5 if the emergency management leadership gave you that information and put you on missions. So that's my issues with volunteers and they should have learned all that during Katrina. This was the biggest failure, Tommy, since Katrina. Yeah. And I understand, and you told me this, I understand that they're in the mountains. I understand that they don't have a lot of hurricanes, but
you'll get hurricanes.
Yeah, okay. But fuck that. That leadership knew that the emergency management should have known prior to 30. Tommy, they were only given a 30-minute mandatory evacuation notice.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
You couldn't do that in the city, much less in the mountains.
Right. Well, I can tell you, this was not nearly the scale of what is being dealt with down there in the South right now. But several years ago, we had a tornado that kind of came through the center part of the Cincinnati suburbs. And that was a very well coordinated effort. And like you said, what they did was they had the people in there that were coordinating both on the police and fire side, and had the volunteers. It was managed in a way that there was a centralized place where if people wanted to volunteer, they could come there and be registered. And for the most part, and of course, there were police and fire departments from the whole region that were coming in and volunteering their equipment and their personnel, and they were sending people out based on the needs, and that made it a very effective response. And I agree with you that if without that in place, it makes it very difficult to have something on the scale of what's going on down south. FEMA has to be involved in something like that, and it's an embarrassment. It really is, that when these things happen and that there's no response. It doesn't make people feel confident in the government's response. But go ahead.
You're right. During Laura, we found one of the first things we found out was where the Cajun Navy. Actually, we told them, "Hey, this is going to be your staging area." Now we had control of it, and we had 3 people assigned to them, because not only intel going out, but there was intel coming in. Yeah. You had intel coming in. Okay, D, if you're out there on a mission and you come across some stuff, who are you giving it to? So there's vital intel when you were on those missions that you would go on. There's vital intel that was never relayed because there was no coordinated effort on the volunteers, and that's what I don't get it. I don't understand. And look, let's talk about leadership. You didn't hear about that in Florida. Ron DeSantis is a leader. Now, hurricanes are like they are here. It's second nature, unfortunately. But still, here's my thing. Tommy's heard me say this. When you decide to sit in the fucking swivel seat of the governor's mansion or the chief of police or the county president or whatever the government, when you sit in that swivel seat, it's time to swivel. You fucking swivel.
Yep.
They didn't fucking swivel. They laid the fuck down, and because of that, people died.
Thousands. I wouldn't be surprised if it was thousands. Because, a couple things, and these are just some tips for people that do want to volunteer. Honestly, I did it independently and did not want to do it with an organization because I knew that I could go more places
Bureaucracy.
without
There is
involving
bureaucracy. Yes,
anybody
I understand that. I get that.
And I'm also probably not gonna lie, I'm probably smarter to coordinate myself and get multiple places because
And you don't want to
I
follow the rules.
think
You want to do it Dee's way, and that's good. That's good. You're when there are people that here's the issue. There's not everybody's like you. There are people that really need some direction. You're just a different person when it comes to that.
so I went on Facebook groups, local Facebook groups, found out specific needs for specific families, got them what they needed. I went to donation centers and I was given addresses before I left. And someone in Bowling Green needed a box of something. I went to Dawson Rings. They needed a bunch of stuff. And then I was just like, hey, do you guys need help? And they were like, yes, we desperately need help. All this stuff is just piling up. Like distribution centers, shelters that are collecting supplies desperately need help because it gets really overwhelming really fast, especially with people donating clothes and things like that. So I will say if you are wanting to donate clothes, please make sure they are very gently used or new. Not used panties. You would be shocked at how many I came across, and it all gets thrown out. So it's creating more work for volunteers that are there.
Then they have to get rid of it. Yes.
So just please make sure that it is stuff that you would wear. These are people that lost literally everything. They don't want clothes with holes in them and things like that. So just make sure that whatever clothes you're donating are something that you would wear.
So without giving her name, will you find out for next week or even this week? We can go live again. I want this show to help your friend. So find out what the needs of your friend is, and we're going to make an effort to help her individually.
Kamala let everyone know today that she's giving out 7.
Yeah, exactly. God dang it, Derek! You took my line from me, man. You done took my thunder. That you're exactly fucking right. Let me tell you about that. 19 fucking years ago, Hurricane Rita. You know how much I got? Everybody got $2,000.
You see
So
how
you're gonna tell me? You're gonna tell me?
Just got.
So you're gonna tell me 19 years ago, I got 2,000, and right now they're getting 750. You know what the difference is? We had a Republican president first. That's the difference. We had a real leader. We had George Bush. He was you can say what you wanted about him, but he was a leader during crisis, and he led. So you're right, Derek. I didn't know the amount, but I did not know the amount. But I didn't know what the illegals were given. But I'm very I'm glad you filled us in on that, because that is something I was thinking about earlier. We're giving all this money to the illegals, and we're going to give $750 fucking dollars.
Oh my gosh! I'm trying to contain myself because are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that is
They just gave Taiwan $500 million yesterday. And Joe Biden got on there and said there's no more funding, there's no more resources that can be used while people are dying on the sides of mountains, babies starving because they have no formula, people running out of oxygen because they have to have oxygen to live.
There's plenty of resources.
I'm sorry, but this is beyond failure, and to me, it has to be done on purpose because
it's not failure. It's dereliction. Dereliction is a different level. Dereliction is when failure, because I'm going to fail, you're going to fail, Tommy, you're going to fail. But dereliction is a total different thing, because when you're derelict, it's almost intentional. It's on the line of intentional. You ignored so many of the signs. You ignored pretty much every duty that you had, that's what dereliction is. This was a total dereliction of duty at every level.
Well, just to comment on what you said about George Bush a minute ago and what you're just saying right now, and I don't want to paint this as a broad brush to people who are either liberal or conservative, but if you look at the leaders who have been liberals or conservatives in general, it is pretty straightforward that conservative leaders tend to lead with heart and they care about people, and liberal leadership tends to care about themselves and is indifferent to people's plight.
While they talk
Why do you
about
want to kill us?
all they
That's
do
what
is
it
talk
is.
about that they're the party of inclusiveness. No, you're the party of exclusive. Unless you're part of that circle, you're
And
part of
division. And division.
yeah, that's what they are. It's not a coincidence that every state that fails in crisis, every city that fails in crisis is led by Democrats. I mean, look at Portland, look at Seattle, look at Minneapolis, look at all these cities that completely just flounder
Right.
at the first sign of trouble. They are led by Democrats.
Yeah. Look at old school places like Detroit. That place has been in decline for 25 years.
And they've been led by Democrats for
The whole time.
25 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a person, people like even people like me and you, Tommy, can figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So,
livid. I'm
yeah,
so bad.
you're all right. So D, let's get on this. So how about let's find out what specifically the needs of your friend is, and let's use this platform and our show to get some help for her specifically. Because I like to give direct to where I know where it's going. And I give to organizations and stuff, but I would rather, we know somebody and she's a good friend of yours. So let's use our resources to help her.
And I do want to name some of the groups.
Please.
And I will tell everyone, and I'm sure you can vouch for this too. Do not donate to the Red Cross. Please do not donate to them. They will up and leave with all the money and leave these people high and dry. I saw it both in Kentucky and Mississippi. And people in Kentucky are still wondering where the millions upon millions of dollars went that was donated to them.
Now, I'm going to tell you that if this was in Southwest Louisiana, I would be really promoting right now to give to United Way. But I don't know the United Way over there. I was on the United Way board here for 12 years. And our United Way, which they're kind of like, normally they're kind of like FEMA. They're a resource, they just manage resources and they give them out. Not our United Way. During Laura, they went live. I mean, they stood up for probably 30, 60 days. But I can't vouch for another United Way. So if you know of any organizations that are legit, Red Cross, I wouldn't give them a fucking dime.
I'd say there is one, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't know if they are reach beyond Cincinnati, but we have an organization here in Cincinnati called Matthew 25 Ministries, who is excellent about organizing resources, like, for example, toiletries and clothing and all that stuff, and they actually take it by truck with their volunteers to the areas that are in need. And again, I don't know if they're beyond Cincinnati or not, but Matthew 25 Ministries is a very legitimate and very helpful organization. Yeah. Okay. Apparently they exist in Cincinnati, but they work all over the United States.
I was going to say, I think that they'd probably go to these areas.
Yeah, because I know they do travel to those areas that are affected. You're correct, D.
But then again, Tommy, a lot of these things, it just depends on the region. You got, they got some United Ways that just aren't worth the shit, and some of these so you really, before I'm going to give anything, I'm going to make sure I'm not just going to give to the United Way in North Carolina because I don't know them.
They do have one.
If it's legit. But our United Way here would be able to tell me, hey, yeah, they're a good organization. Yeah. I can tell you this. I know the one in Cincinnati, the United Way in Cincinnati's got a really good reputation. Actually, our United Way CEO here is worked in Cincinnati for a long time.
Oh, really? That's cool.
So another thing I'll say is anyone that wants to donate you have to be super careful about scams. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them with disasters. Again, I saw it with Kentucky. People, I mean, they'll tell you the worst stories you'd ever hear. And unfortunately, it's a scam.
Yeah.
So if you see GoFundMe, Cash Apps, and everything, just make sure it is actually someone who needs it. But there's a couple that I found that I have mentioned on lives that I've done, which is Hearts with Hands, and they're in the Swanoa, Asheville area. They're a local-based organization that is supplying food and essentials to the entire county, which is really good. They're asking, do not deliver supplies unannounced, and to send them an email with what you're bringing, and they will coordinate a time with you. Beloved Asheville is another one, and they actually do have a Venmo, Cash App, and Zelle. And it is verified. These are all local verified groups. They're also taking supplies. There's a whole list of supplies they need. And then Samaritan's Purse, again, super good organization. They are some good-hearted people. Vacation Navy, they're doing flight rescues, which is, again, what is desperately needed. There's also another one, Hope Mill Inc., helicopter dropping relief. They have a verified GoFundMe, and you can actually search that GoFundMe. They're using it for gas to rescue people and airdrop supplies to trapped people. So those are just a couple, but I can give you the website to post in the summary.
Okay. So if we have some victims of this storm that are listening, I got some things some advice I want to give. So the first thing you're going to be hit with, because there's phases to this. The first phase is debris removal. And so upon my retirement, I started a debris removal business. So I'm on some of these Facebook groups, and there's people piling in there. Do not give anybody any money up front. If they want money up front, wait for the next guy. Because the next guy, you're going to find somebody. They're flooding the area. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of work, but there's also plenty of people. Do not give them especially on debris removal. When you start getting into rebuilding and they got to buy supplies, if they're doing a fence, they would want 20%. I get that. But if I'm doing your debris removal, it's not costing me anything supply-wise. It's not costing me, I've got my machines, I got those things, but I'm not having to go buy $3,000-$4,000 worth of fencing, or I'm not having to buy drywall. I'm not having to do that. I've got my crew that I have to pay, but don't give them a dime. The contractor fraud, we started a contractor fraud task force. So the hurricane was in 2020. In January 2021, it was in August 2020, January of 2021, I retired and went to work for the district attorney's office. And immediately when we got there, it was a new DA, and I went with him as his chief of staff. Immediately, we started a contractor fraud task force because it was already that bad. They're still prosecuting cases, hundreds and hundreds of cases to this day. Do not give anybody any money up front. If they're requiring a small deposit, I'm going to go on a limb and say I wouldn't give them more than 20%. Don't give them more than 20%. Because
there's also good-hearted people that are not going to charge you anything.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you could find some of those, but the price gouging is just because people just want it done. And here's another tip.
Isn't that price gauging? Isn't that right?
Well, if you're Kamala, it's price gauging because she doesn't know what the fuck she was reading off a teleprompter and she got the word wrong, Tom.
I know that. I know. I just couldn't help but throw that in there.
She can't think on her own. She has to read off a teleprompter. Yeah. So let me give another piece of advice. It's total devastation. Be patient because people are preying upon your impulsiveness. They are preying upon, hey, I just want this. I can go to you with a, what normally would be a $2,500 removal, and I tell you $5,000, you're going to jump on it just because you want the shit going.
Yeah.
Calm down. That's not going just unless it's an emergency. Now, when you're dealing with, tarping roofs and that kind of stuff, because you don't know if you got another rain and you got to secure your house. I get that. And if you got a tree in the middle of your house, then I get that part. But if you got some limbs in the yard and you got some fence down, just relax as much as you can. Be patient, because this is what the scammers are preying upon. They know, hey, people are they're going to throw money at you. They want this shit done.
Yep.
And especially those of you who live in really nice subdivisions, they're preying on you because they think you got money. I learned that because I'm not rich, but my wife and I lived below our means for years, and we bought 3 years ago, we bought a really nice house in a really nice subdivision. Well, I can tell you what, we get our house painted, and I paid, the quote I got was fucking double what it would have been on my old house. So people know, they think you live in a, Tommy, you're gonna see that you just bought a house, you just upgraded.
Yep.
Well, the prices upgrade too because they think you're rich.
Yeah.
So, but people have to realize that they're preying upon. They're not going to the poor neighborhoods or what's perceived as a poor neighborhood. They're going to the upscale neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
and they're preying upon your impatience and the probability that you have money sitting in the bank.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of those areas are completely gone. There's not really much left. So, and also, these people didn't have flood insurance. Most of them don't have flood
Why would
insurance.
they?
It doesn't.
Mountains. Yeah.
It doesn't. Why would they need it? I wouldn't have it if I didn't need it. So
here's the patience. This is where the patience comes in again. Now this is where FEMA is good. Then here again, FEMA is not a first responding agency, but now there's so much bureaucracy and there's so much red tape with FEMA. But I can tell you that they end up they do come through. Now this is 4 years later. They've got houses popping up in some of the lower income neighborhoods where FEMA goes in, they have the house torn down, and then they rebuild. So there are programs there. You just got to be. It's just about patience, and it's a long process. It's a hard process to go through. Even people that aren't going to rely on FEMA, your insurance company is not much faster than FEMA. I'm telling you that now.
Yep.
They're not in and total your house next week and hand you a couple $100,000. That's not happening.
they do assess it though, right? They walk.
Oh no, you
do
file a
walk.
claim immediately. No, they will come and you'll have a adjuster come in probably a couple of days. They got adjusters on the ground. They're getting all that together right now. But as far as ruling if your house is totaled, or what you're getting, that's a process, man. That's a process.
So let me show you this one that I was walking past. Is it when they were assessing it, and they said that this house was not a total loss, okay? And they're talking to the people. You tell me if this house is livable.
Yeah, I'm not an insurance adjuster and I'm not a contractor.
So it's no on that one.
But I
They
am
said
a
this
demo.
was not a total loss.
Yeah, but I am a demo guy, and I've seen houses demo that looked a lot better than that.
This is leaning. You can't. It has caution
Yeah.
tape around it, and it's leaning off the foundation.
Yeah.
They're not in. I'm
And
telling you.
that's honestly, and a FEMA worker was with the adjuster, and they were going through everything. They were walking around, and the family was there, and they said, "We're sorry, this isn't a total loss." I'm like,
Yeah, that gets. I've seen that kind of stuff get reversed. I've had a couple hurricanes where we've had 2 or 3 adjusters before it was done right. So that's just, I can't stress enough. It's a process. it's something that you have to have a lot of patience. If you don't have patience, you're going to end up getting screwed. You're going to screw yourself because you don't have patience.
And it's hard in those situations because you're desperate. I mean, these people have they're trying to survive, literally trying to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
I didn't see that, Derek.
It goes based on race.
That's okay. So let's talk about that. Now, Dee, when you and I talked the other day, and I think we've done pretty good at covering what's going on and the stuff that you have firsthand. You said you didn't want to politicize it, and I agree with you. But politicizing it, to me, what I call politicizing, it was when the information is false or it's an agenda. It's what it is. This is political. We have an administration that does not care. They keep showing us who they are, and a lot of us are not believing them. They show that they don't care, but they care about who they care about.
But what scares me is a lot of people do believe them.
Yeah,
That's what's scary.
there's not enough of us that are believing. I'm throwing us in there. I sure in the hell ain't one of them.
Right.
None of us are either. But look at that debacle last night of that debate. It's not even a comparison. Obviously Trump's a better choice. But I'm gonna tell you this: if Kamala Harris won, Tom, I'd be more scared of her having a heart attack and dying and leaving that freaking circus clown Tim Walz in charge. I mean, if we keep electing people like Tim Walz and people like Cooper as governor, this is the kind of leadership during crisis that we can expect. We have, now I'm gonna say it one more time. It's always when you have failures in crisis, the common denominator is Democrat leadership.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not an opinion. I'm not making it up. It's a fucking fact.
Yeah.
It's so sad because these are human beings. Like when I went to Kentucky, I didn't go ask everyone who they voted for and pick and choose who, because honestly, some of those people probably were Democrats, just based on how they were. But I don't care about any of that. That just breaks my fucking heart. Like it really does.
It does.
And that's where I get so upset because these are human beings. How did we get this far gone?
Yep. No, you're right.
And even with Trump, like yesterday, all the stuff that he did, bringing truckloads of supplies. He has a GoFundMe that has $4 million on it.
And let me tell you this. Let me tell you something. And I get fired up on this. Anybody that says that Donald Trump is politicizing this and doing it political, they can go fuck themselves. Because I know firsthand, this man was here, and I said this last night, had Jason Kiefer was on with me last night. So in 2020, he was still the president. The day after the hurricane came through, I get a call from the Secret Service because I was their contact and told me he was coming. And I was not excited because here we are trying to run a crisis. And now I had to stop that and start planning for a presidential visit, which is a whole different,
whole different level.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal on that. But he was here and he goes everywhere. He goes, Jason said last night, Tom, you're going to know the train derailment. What was it, a couple of years ago? And where's it? What's the Palestine? Yeah. So he went to that. He wasn't president anymore. That man responds. He leaves during crisis. I can forgive, even if your policies are a little off.
Yeah.
I'm going to overlook some of that if you're a good crisis leader. First thing I'm looking for as a president, as a governor, as a mayor, as anybody is crisis leadership. If you don't have that, I don't give a fuck what your policies are, what you stand for. You better be a crisis leader. And they have shown they do not lead during crisis. At
No,
all.
and the fact that when I heard what he did, I'm like, no way they can be saying anything bad about him now. Oh my gosh, the things they were saying about him. I'm like, oh, it's a PR stunt. That seems like a pretty expensive PR stunt for him to use his own money to bring in supplies from his own campaign
Let's be
or
honest.
wherever he got the money from. I don't know, but he's
Donald
still
Trump's
not
ego is
from the
too
government.
big. It's too big for a PR stunt.
Yeah.
Donald
Yep.
Trump is not doing PR stunts. Donald Trump is going to do what the fuck Donald Trump wants to do.
Right.
His ego is too big to do something for any other reason other than that's what he wants to do.
Yep.
So, like I said, anybody that says anything, fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about. But let's look at the flip side of this. D. North Carolina is a swing state, right?
It's a red
It-
state, but yeah, we'll go with that.
I mean, it can go. Isn't it real tight right now?
Let me
They've
tell
got
you.
a
I was
Democrat governor.
protesting all over North Carolina in 2020, and so what happened with the voting is we didn't know who the president who won that state for a
Mhm.
week and a half, but Roy Cooper knew he won that day. It was on the same ballot. Riddle me that one. How
Okay,
did
so
Roy Cooper know he was going to be the dictator of the state? Because that's exactly what he is. But we didn't know who won the state when they were on the same exact ballot.
so humor me a little bit on this. Is it possible that Kamala Harris it's not like Louisiana. I mean, in Louisiana, Trump's going to win 68%. Is it possible North Carolina could be on the table? Here's my point, D.
They were red last time Donald Trump won the state.
Okay, but could he lose that? So here's my point. They're not even smart politically. Why wouldn't, Tom, shouldn't they be there? Because to me, North Carolina it's a possibility. Louisiana's not a possibility. You have a hurricane hit Louisiana, they don't give a shit about it. The Democrats don't because it's not even possible. North Carolina is a possibility.
Right.
So they should be camped out there. They're too stupid to even try to get some political points on this.
It's true because Asheville
Yeah,
is
hey,
a
be
blue city.
We-
Asheville is a blue city. That is a hippie town. That is the liberalist city you could ever walk into.
Okay, D, let's get off of North Carolina. Georgia's a swing state. Georgia, we haven't talked about Georgia. Georgia is very affected by this
I haven't
hurricane.
even heard about it, honestly.
Oh no, Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia.
Mhm.
There's a lot of because I'm part of these Facebook groups. I see where all these all these disaster response people are going. Tennessee's a red state. So
Virginia.
here's my point again. They're not even smart enough to see, hey, we need to get out our ass over there for politics. Donald Trump didn't go for politics, but it'd be a smart move if he did.
No, I think he genuinely wanted to help. You could
He does.
see
He
that it
absolutely
was
does.
genuine.
Sure.
I'll say it again. Donald Trump's not going to do something he doesn't want to do. He just doesn't operate that way. He's not wired that way.
And why are you talking smack on someone that is helping when the federal government isn't doing anything and people are dying? Why are you trying to hinder that?
That's right.
What is literally what is wrong with you?
That's what the media does.
I mean, if you're voting for this after this, you're just evil because all this death and people are still going to be dying in their homes that can't be reached.
Yeah.
I can't even think about what that looks like because this administration has a lot of death on their hands and the news is not
It's on their
reporting
hands. No,
that
you're right.
death number correctly because it's in the thousands and anybody that is working on rescue and recovery will tell you that there's bodies everywhere.
So let's close this out with tell us anything that else that we need to know as far as anything you haven't covered as far as helping anybody there. What are we missing? And next week you're going to have some information on how we can specifically help the ones you want to help.
Yes, I'm giving her a little bit of time. I haven't heard from her since she sent me a voice message the other day, and we talked a little bit after that. Obviously, you could tell from that voice message that she was very distraught. That I'm telling you right now does not sound anything like her.
Yeah.
That's why that made me so upset, because I'm like, if you knew the bubbly, super outgoing Amber that I knew, that does not sound like her at all.
I understand.
And I can just hear the pain and trauma. So I did open the opportunity up to her today, but I think it's going to take a lot of time for what she saw.
I understand. No, we don't have to have her on to have to get information on how we can specifically help her.
But I would just say we got to stop thinking the government's going to help us, because they're not. We have to come together as Americans, and everybody needs to help with this, whether you're boots on the ground, donating monetary, donating supplies to somebody that is going there, which is like when I went there, I got tons of people that donated to me. They donated hotel rooms to me. If you are going out there, please do not expect that you're going to be sleeping in shelters and taking any of the supplies, because you need to have all your own stuff. Do not hinder any help that is there for victims.
No,
But like, this is all hands on deck. There are so many levels to the amount of help that's needed. Like, again, when I went to Kentucky, I didn't really have a solid plan, but I had some places that I was going. The rest of the time I was just going to wing it. So I walked by families, saw them salvaging stuff, and asked if I could help. Asked if I could go get some totes for them to put their stuff in. Asked if I can go run and grab them food. A lot of these people do not have cars either. They cannot get supplies.
Yeah.
They need people to check on them and bring them stuff, especially elderly. Like I don't even know where you start with something like this. This is beyond words. This is beyond belief.
Is the word start. You just got to start. You just got to do something.
Yep.
And you know what? What I was saying? If I was that helicopter driver, I probably would have told them to throw me in handcuffs, please. Because if I could save someone's life and go to jail for that, sure.
Well, they were asking him his son was his co-pilot, and they were threatening. They didn't want him to go get his son.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I might not I tell you, I might not go pick up your son if they tell me not to, but I can tell you what, they're not stopping me from picking up mine.
Right. And honestly, they're not stopping me from picking up that other person either. Yeah. That God knows what only happened to him. Also, guys, don't forget about the animals. There's so many animals that are, there's still dogs on roofs and all kinds of stuff. Don't forget about donating supplies for that too, because they're extremely overwhelmed with the amount of stranded animals.
What about looting? Let's cover that real quick.
Oh, God.
Have they started looting?
She texted me on Saturday. Let me double check that. It was either Friday or Saturday.
I did read that there was looting going on in certain places, yes.
Well, that shows me, Tommy.
Saturday.
If they had looting, they weren't prepared law enforcement wise either, because I can tell you that we one thing we didn't have was fucking looting.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Because we had secured, gun stores, drug stores. We had all that, we had all that. We had all the resources for that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is all of this stuff in these stores is getting thrown out. All of it. They're all flooded. They're all destroyed, everything. So what is it really looting?
Well, the idea is you don't want people in there, scumbags and opportunists like that are looting stores, because they're going to prey on people.
And people are getting shot too. I do know that. People are getting shot every gas.
So, Dee, what you're saying is, so if you're saying people like your friend, I'm not saying she's doing this, but if somebody's going there to get baby formula, no, that's people.
Yeah, that's not looting.
That's not looting. That's surviving. So if she's going there to get a color TV,
Absolutely.
She's going to
Yeah.
get some. If it was you and you're getting your baby some formula or some diapers or whatever, that's surviving. So that's not I know.
And it's like you don't want to condone something like that because, like, yes, it's technically wrong, but you know, don't be stealing TVs and all that other crazy stuff. Like, whatever. But yeah, she said Saturday that she said tensions are starting to rise. People are getting desperate. That was Saturday. And I know people did get shot at gas stations over gas. People have been siphoning gas. And I will tell you one thing that happened in Kentucky, which absolutely blew my mind, is that now, mind you, the area I was in had a very, very high population of elderly people. People were coming in from out of town, stealing the generators and replacing them with push lawnmowers in the middle of the night.
Wow.
That's pretty bad.
We would have maybe we're just different in the South, but would have stores call us and say, hey, y'all come get this meat and give it to people, or come get this because we're not. So we wouldn't have. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we were more prepared because it's like Florida. It's unfortunately second nature to us. But crisis is crisis. Crisis management is crisis management. Either you're prepared or you're not. So I don't know what that area has, but Tommy, everybody has some sort of y'all have tornadoes. You know, so your crisis plan is your crisis plan. So
right. Hey,
Tommy,
we have hurricanes up here. We actually, believe it or not, this hurricane that just went through down there came up and was affecting us in the Cincinnati area for about 3 days.
Jason told me that last night. I did not believe. He said they had trees down.
Oh, you should have seen us cutting trees up on the railroad. We had about 20 trees down on the railroad.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep.
Jason told me that in 2008, I think it was Hurricane Ike. Shit, half the damn half y'all's county got new roofs.
No, yeah. I actually lived in my camper in the driveway for 10 days. We were without power for 10 days.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was the year before you and I went to the academy.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Tommy and I met. We went to the FBI National Academy together in 2009. So make us feel old. How old were you in 2009?
16, 17. 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything either one of you want to close with?
Just please help, and we can put links in the bio, right?
Yeah, I can go throw. I can edit. I can throw links in the comment, or I can throw links in the bio. Yeah.
Just please make sure you're helping. Like I said, this is all hands on deck, and these people deserve and need help. And don't just focus on Asheville. I can give you the list of. I mean, the list is so long of all the places.
Just send me what you got. Yeah, just send me what you got, and I'll put them in the. I'll put it in the narrative on this.
But I do have a video on TikTok that I literally named most of them. Well, I don't even know. It's probably only a quarter of them.
All right, so we almost at our hour. Tommy, appreciate you jumping on. That was good. Definitely good to see you, and I'm glad you and Dee met.
It's nice meeting you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you too. Thanks for having me on here.
All right, until next time, McGee, Wells, and Looney are out.
Bye.
Bye.